Welcome, Animas, to the monthly moon report. I am standing in for our resident astrologer, Marlene, who is preparing for her nuptials. For those of you who don't know me, if you're watching on the replay, I'm Ilona Pamplona, the Postmodern Oracle, and the Anima Collective's Chief Community Officer. And I am thrilled to not only step in for Marlene for this role, but I get to talk about the eclipse season. So the two ones that I get to talk about are really juicy, impactful, magical transits that we get to talk about. So these aren't just your everyday moon report, these are intense moon reports because the eclipse season is not light energy. It is energy of transformation. And so before we go into unpacking what this moon is going to bring us, I want to put into context what the eclipse means. So both of the moon reports that we're having this month are specifically not just moon reports, they're eclipse reports. So what does that mean? So the eclipse is literally this moment where either the sun shadows the moon or the moon shadows the sun in the sky as it's moving in the sky. And in traditional astrology, these are, what we would kind of look at, actually, I want you to think about medieval times. Like when you used to see movies on medieval times and there would be the Merlin or the Oracle or the wizard that knew about astrology. And there was this like mystery, but also this scary, tense energy around it. And for me, the eclipse is very much the tower card. So if you know about astrology, it's a tower card moment. It brings things forward and it pushes things down that no longer serve you. And in a lot of ways, the eclipse is about our shadows. So this is not about manifesting and lighting a candle and writing everything you want to call in. This is more of a surrender experience. This is more about allowing the universe to take care of the things that no longer serve you, but in a way of like the things that don't serve you, but you're not willing to let go of. So the eclipse with this energy that's kind of like shaking things up cosmically in the energy in your real life, it's going to feel like, wow, this is difficult, something's not going right, my life isn't aligned. But really what the eclipse does is it shakes things off so that you can, all this low-hanging fruit that doesn't like serve you, that actually is like starting to not work for you, can fall off so that you can bloom in the ways that you get to bloom. But it's not easy energy, and we're going to try to resist it, right? Like just like this, the flight or fight system, where when things start to shake and things start to get uneasy, we want to fight back, or we want to hide. This is not about hiding. This is not about fighting back. This is about surrender, because the eclipses are our cosmic allies. And for me personally, I like to equate the eclipses to Kali Ma energy. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Hindu goddess Kali, but she is this bold goddess that will literally slaughter the fears, the things that are in your way. And she wears the skulls of what she slaughters for you on her neck as a reminder of like, you don't go back there. You don't need to do that anymore. And so this is a intense moment for a lot of people of releasing, letting, actually not us releasing what no longer serves us, but allowing the universe to release what no longer serves us. It is not, I'm gonna say this over and over again. The eclipses are not active participation. The more you allow yourself to observe, witness the shadow, like what we do when the eclipses happen, we get the little glasses, we watch the phases change. It's a witnessing. It's an opportunity to observe what is not serving us. Now, how do we know, like, what are we focusing on when it comes to the cycle of observation of what's not serving us, what's not working on us? This is where we go into the signs. And so other fun fact, solar eclipses coincide with the new moon because the new moon is usually in the sign that the sun is in. Lunar eclipses happen during the full moon, and it typically falls in the sign that the full moon is in. So right now we have the Libra solar eclipse tomorrow, and at the end of the month we're going to have a Taurus, a lunar eclipse with the full moon. So if you ever question like which signs fall where and why, that's how it works. Solar eclipse goes with the sun. What sun sign are we in? We're in Libra. Full moon, what sign is it in? That's the lunar eclipse. And interestingly also, these eclipses are directly related to the lunar nodes. So it's important also that we talk about the nodes when we're talking about eclipse energy, because the eclipses fall on the sign of the nodes. Now, this year, we had what's called a nodal shift, where after 18 months, it went from Taurus Scorpio to Libra Aries, with the North Node being in Aries, South Node being in Libra. I'm bringing this in because the nodes are our points of destiny. Not only are we going through these experiences of shedding, but the shedding is happening in the nodes. They always happen in the nodes because it's the universe going, hey, I want you to step into your destiny. I want you to move forward in the direction that you needed to move forward. The North Node is Aries, the South Node is Libra. Right now, we're experiencing the solar eclipse in Libra. Libra is actually the easy peasier energy because the South Node is more of what's in flow, whereas the North Node is a challenge. But what's interesting in that is that the North Node, what we get to do more of in Aries, our individual expression, who we are. We're being, from now until January of 2025, we're being asked to say, who are we? What is my identity? Where do I get to show up in the world? But the solar eclipse is saying that in order to get there, I also need you to shed all of the themes of Libra. Libra is about partnership. Libra is about justice and harmony. Libra is about balance. Libra is about relationships. But y'all, it's also about peace. So I want you to think about what in your life right now is robbing you of peace, but that you are taking for granted. I'm also going to ask you from the perspective of who is robbing you of your peace. And don't be surprised that if in this cycle, these experiences and relationships that rob you of your peace will be tested to see if you're really ready to let them go so that you can step into your North Node, which is the transit that we're experiencing as a collective, and say, okay, now I know who I am because I've released the people and the experiences that are robbing me of my peace. Now, I asked before we started recording, I kind of brought into the space that the solar eclipse is in Libra in 21 degrees of Libra. So if you have your birth time, you can look at the chart and say, where is 21 degrees of Libra? And we can go into the details when we do the Q&A after. But I'm going to recap for those of you that are popping in. This new moon isn't just a new moon, it's a solar eclipse. It's a release of the partnerships, the experiences that are robbing you your peace that no longer serve you. And whatever house that this eclipse is falling in gives you an extra layer of detail of where it is. Like, for example, if you've got Libra in 21 degrees in the first house, it's robbing you of your personal peace. If you've got Libra in 21 degrees in the second house, it's robbing you of financial peace. If you've got Libra at 21 degrees in the third house, it's robbing you of your communications and thought, like your mental peace. If you've got Libra in the fourth house, it's robbing you of the peace of being with your family or what family means to you. Like it's the familial peace, the home peace. If you've got Libra in the fifth house, it's robbing you of your creative peace, your ability to like flourish and find peace in the creative endeavors and the things that you find that you're passionate about. If you have Libra in the sixth house, it's robbing you of your peace of your well-being. Literally, it's health. It's your health and your well-being. If you have Libra in the seventh house during this eclipse, it's robbing you of your relational peace, of the partnerships, pieces of the peace with the people in your life. If you've got Libra in the eighth house, it's an intense one because it's robbing you of the peace of the transformation of your shadow work. Like your shadow work really is going to be coming up. If you have Libra in the ninth house, it's going to be robbing you of the peace of your beliefs. Your beliefs are going to be tested. If you have Libra in the ninth house, you're going to be robbed of the peace of like knowing who you are in the world and how you want to be seen in the world. And if you have it in the 11th house, it's robbing you the peace of being in groups of friends and being part of a bigger collective, and even maybe your long-term visions. And finally, if you have Libra, this eclipse in Libra in the 12th house, it's robbing you of spiritual peace. Now, if you don't have your times, don't worry. We can talk offline and I can help you kind of maybe, recalibrate it and kind of, see where we can find like an estimate of where it is. But regardless, this is a relational eclipse. I want you to take stock of who in your life not only is not bringing you peace, but where is conflict? Where's conflict showing up with someone else for you? And what is it teaching you? I today, earlier today, I posted a Substack, and something that came to me as a download is not only are we being tested with peace, but it's because the conflict and the search for peace is actually the healing point. And the reason I say this is because we have Chiron, the wounded healer, in opposition. So we have on one side of your chart, Libra's like, let's find peace. Peace is going to be shaken up so that we can have it. But on the other side, we have Chiron and Aries, the warrior, in the placement of healing. So I want you to also observe, where do you avoid conflict? Where in your life are you avoiding conflict, rather than seeing sometimes that conflict is the catalyst for accessing where peace gets to happen in your life. And like it doesn't have to be, for example, it's also really interesting because it made me think of what's happening in the world news right now. The last time we had the solar eclipse in Libra, we didn't have these oppositions to Aries, the warrior. So we didn't have this level of global conflict. But I can't help but think I'm not surprised that we have global conflict right now, where the sun is saying, where can we illuminate peace? But Aries, the warrior, is saying, hey, we're going to heal through the conflict. And when we come together, we can come together in a healing way. This is not to justify war, but this is to say, this is sometimes the energy. We don't always, peace doesn't always come because we've avoided conflict. Sometimes conflict is the energy that shows us where we can restore peace. And the last part about this transit that really makes me think is not only are we in opposition to the healing through conflict with that the Chiron and Aries, but the North Node is our point of destiny. The opposite of this Libra eclipse is actually what we get to do more of, and it is leadership, leading, being the person who's going to stand up and be vulnerable enough and courageous enough to say, this is what it takes for us to find peace. So as we navigate this solar eclipse, which for some people can be very intense. I have like several people have been texting me like, what's happening in the world? And I'm like, this eclipse is a little intense. I really invite you that your job for the next few days is to not avoid conflict, but to be courageous and heart-centered enough to say, I can be in this, not for the sake of war, but for the sake of finding the resolution. Where can you stand up in your warrior energy to find the peace? Not to fight, because a lot of people stand up to fight for the sake of fighting and they get all excited. But this is, how can you stand in your power and your leadership to illuminate the sun, solar eclipse, the shadows of where peace isn't happening? So I want you to take stock this weekend. Where in your life are you not experiencing peace? And what does it take for you to stand up and fight for the restoration of peace in your life in all different areas? Like I said, you're going to probably feel it more in the specific areas that you feel it in your chart. But this is war and peace, not because we want to fight, but because we're fighting for the peace. We're not fighting for the fight. And I want you to know that this is also, this, it doesn't have to be scary. The beautiful thing too is Libra is the partner. So you don't have to do this alone. I want you to also think about who are your partners in peace, who bring you access, who can support you. We get to be the leaders, but we don't have to be lone wolves. I always say this, you probably hear me say this over and over again. Life is a team sport. Life is not lone wolfing it. Not life is a team sport. I also want you to think of being the leader in conflict as your role and you being the solution. This is not about sitting down and feeling like a victim of the experiences of your life. You get to process what's happening, but we're being called to really say, how can I be the source of empowerment? How can I look at this through understanding? Another thing that Libra, the solar eclipse in Libra is the diplomat. Libra goes, I may not agree with you, but I'm going to listen and understand so that in this conflict, I can figure out how we create a resolution. So as we recap, solar eclipses in general, they're shakeups. They're shakeups so that we can get to the other side of what we've not been doing for ourselves. The solar eclipse in Libra is all about, really standing up as the diplomat, the resolution maker, but the peacemaker. But it's because we're in opposition to Chiron in the North Node. Hasn't in a while. The last solar eclipse in Libra did not have these warrior oppositions in Aries. So we are basically seeing war and peace being confronted, and being asked to be courageous, step up to the conflict to heal, not to fight, and be the peacemakers, be the diplomats, be the person who's gonna find the solution. Not alone, but through collaboration, through partnership. This was very succinct. I feel like it could go on, but it's really clear that this is the major energy in our lives. So what I want you to do again is you get to find where you are being robbed of peace in your life. Where do you get to stand up in leadership to be the healing solution? You are the healing solution to any of the conflict in your life. There's a lot happening in the world right now. Conflict is literally happening in the world. And you still get to, I always tell people, think globally, but act locally. If what's happening in the world is really affecting you, then say, what in my life can I be the solution to? What in my life can I bring peace to? Because that's also that like ripple effect. Like you can't hope for peace if you are not being the originator of peace. And peace doesn't always mean like peace, 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 friend, friend, everyone get along. It's what do you get to take a stand for and create solutions and healing for? He's saying, I have the North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra. So interesting. If any of you have the North Node in Libra, I mean in Aries in your birth chart, you're having what's called a nodal return. So you're really feeling this transit right now because it's actually hitting where the nodes are in your chart. If you have the North Node in Libra in your natal chart, if anyone has that, let me know. That means you're having what's called a nodal opposition, which means you really are feeling this tug and pull between war and peace, conflict and peace. And it's not because it's a bad thing, but it's saying this is the work now. The work now is while the eclipse is happening to show us where we're being robbed of peace, we're being called up to be Aries North Node, which is a transit till January 25. We're being called to be the leaders. We're being called to take a stand for something so that peace and diplomacy can be restored in our own lives. And sometimes, like if you have it in the first house or the sixth house, sometimes it's as simple as taking a stand for your health or taking a stand for yourself and your self-care, right? It doesn't always have to be, you have to confront something in your life. Sometimes it's an internal confrontation. What am I tolerating? Where am I not standing up for myself in my life so that I can have peace? So peace and peace through conflict is kind of the vibe of this. But I don't want you to be afraid because that's what Anima Collective is here for, y'all. We've got community is really where this is going to have the ripple effect. Like doing things for you get to stand up for yourself, but once again, not on your own and not by yourself. This it's about leadership, not hyper independence. Okay. Oh, we've got some folks popping in right now, so I'm going to do a really quick recap. I'm going to do a really quick recap for those who are just joining us now, because we're about to wrap it up and then start the Q&A section offline. But North Node, the peacekeeper. I mean, the solar eclipse in Libra, it's about the peace. It's about and knowing what's robbing you of your peace and letting the universe take that out. So if things happen this weekend where you're like, oh, I was not expecting that, this doesn't feel good, ask yourself, how is this the lunar eclipse, the solar eclipse in Libra, restoring peace by removing what's robbing me of my peace, whether I knew it or not? And then knowing that in this very rare moment, Chiron, the healer in the North Node in Aries, which is what our point of destiny is, in Aries is saying you get to step in your leadership and you get to heal through conflict. Any conflict that happens over the next few days is actually the breakthrough for healing. Do not resist it, surrender to it, and be in your leadership to be part of the solution. Okay? Now I'm going to sign off so that we can go off record and just see if anyone has questions or feedback. But if you are watching the replay, and you are not part of the Anima Collective, don't forget that this is a place where soul development and entrepreneurship meet. And these are the spaces that I love, where we can really hold ourselves together, hold space for each other in moments like this. And so I'm wishing you, as my idol Walter Mercado says, lots of love and lots of peace in this cosmically shaky time. You're not alone, and you have the power to get through this. I believe in every single one of you powerful women.